The Empire had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. They had conquered 500 species across 1,000 worlds. When their scouts found a small blue planet sending radio signals into space, Emperor smiled on his golden throne. Another easy victory, he thought. Another slave race for his empire. Admiral was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He was a calm man, 52 years old, with gray hair and tired eyes. He had served in Earth's Space Navy for 30 years, and he had never seen anything like what appeared on his sensors. 300 alien warships dropped out of hyperspace near the edge of the solar system. They were massive, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, like a wall of metal death coming toward Earth. Commanded the 3rd Patrol Group. He had 12 small frigates and 2 destroyers, 14 ships against 300. He knew the math was bad. He also knew his duty. The alien ship sent a message. It was translated by the ship's computer into cold, simple words. You are now property of the Empire. Surrender your planet. Resistance means death. Looked at his bridge crew, young faces, scared faces. Lieutenant, his second in command, stood at his side. She was also his wife. They had met in the academy 20 years ago. Sir, she said quietly, we should wait for orders from Earth Command. There's no time, replied. He opened a channel to his fleet. All ships, this is Admiral, we are going to attack. Silence filled the communication channel. Then one by one his captains responded. Yes, Admiral. They knew they would die. They went anyway. The 3rd Patrol Group charged toward the Armada. It was like watching ants attack a giant. The alien commanders laughed at their sensors. What were these tiny creatures doing? Did they not understand they were already dead? Admiral understood something the aliens did not. Humans had been fighting wars since they crawled out of caves. They had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other. They were very, very good at it. His ships did not fly in straight lines. They twisted and turned, using the asteroids and ice rocks of the outer solar system as cover. They split apart and came together. They attacked from angles they had never seen before. The first ship exploded, and the alien commanders stopped laughing. Frigates were small and fast. They dove between the bigger alien ships, firing at weak points, then running before the enemy could respond. His destroyers provided cover fire, drawing attention while the frigates did their deadly work. 10 ships died in the first hour, then 20, then 30. The aliens began to panic. This was not how primitive species behaved. Primitive species ran. Primitive species surrendered. They did not fight like demons. They did not sacrifice themselves with smiles on their faces. Captain Park commanded the frigate Soul's Heart. His ship was badly damaged, engines failing, weapons almost empty. A cruiser moved in for the kill. Instead of running, aimed his ship at the cruiser's bridge and pushed his engines to maximum. The explosion lit up the darkness of space like a small sun. One by one, ships fell. But for every human ship that died, 3 or 4 ships died with it. The aliens could not understand it. They had never seen anything like this desperation, this fury, this refusal to accept defeat. Admiral's flagship, Soul's Pride, was the last human ship still fighting. It was burning, half its crew dead, weapons offline. The command ship floated nearby, damaged but still alive. Sir, said the helmsman, blood running down his face, engines are still working. Barely. Looked at his wife, had tears in her eyes but her voice was steady. Give them hell, husband. He kissed her forehead. Then he turned to his crew. All hands, this is the Admiral. It has been an honor serving with you. Let's show these aliens how humans say goodbye. Soul's Pride flew straight at the command ship. The alien commanders screamed orders, but it was too late. The human ship crashed through their hull like a spear through flesh. The explosion destroyed both ships. When the battle ended, 47 warships were dead. 60 more were too damaged to fight. The remaining ships limped away, carrying their wounded and their dead. They sent a message to Emperor. Earth's military has been destroyed. The planet is defenseless. We can invade at any time. The Emperor was pleased. Yes, they had lost ships, but the humans were finished. Their tiny fleet was gone. Conquest would be simple now. 600 light-years away, Lieutenant Commander received 2 messages. The first told her that her husband was dead. She read it 3 times. She cried alone in her quarters for 1 hour. Then she wiped her eyes and read the second message. It was a promotion. She was now the highest-ranking officer in Earth's surviving space forces. She was also the commander of Earth's hidden navy. 312 ships waited in the darkness behind Earth's moon and inside the asteroid belt. They had found the patrol group because patrol groups were meant to be found. They were the distraction. They were the sacrifice. The real navy was still waiting. Walked to her command center and looked at the faces of her officers. They had all lost friends today. Some had lost family. They were angry and sad and scared. "The aliens think we are beaten," she said, her voice cold as space. "They think that was our fleet. Let them think that. Let them come. And when they do, we will teach them what humanity really is." The officers nodded. Some smiled dark smiles. Earth was not finished. Earth was just getting started. 6 months passed after the battle at the edge of the solar system. Earth used every second. Factories that once made cars now made weapons. Scientists worked without sleep, studying the wreckage of destroyed alien ships. Soldiers trained in secret underground bases. The whole planet prepared for war, and they did it quietly, carefully, so the aliens watching from far away would see nothing. The invasion fleet arrived on a cold morning in December. 1,000 warships filled the sky like a metal cloud. Behind them came transport ships carrying 2 million soldiers. General commanded the invasion. He was old and experienced, and he had studied the first battle carefully. "These humans are dangerous," he told his officers. "We will use overwhelming force. No mistakes, no mercy." Fleet Admiral watched from her command center deep under the Antarctic ice. Officers from every country on Earth worked beside her. Americans, Chinese, Russians, Koreans, Indians, all of them united against the enemy from the stars. Captain Park stood at her side. He was the son of the captain who had died ramming his ship into a cruiser. The young man had his father's brave heart and his mother's sharp mind. "They're moving into lunar orbit," reported, "deploying invasion transports." Nodded slowly. Her face showed nothing, but her heart was beating fast. "Let them land the first wave. All ships maintain silence." It was the hardest order she had ever given. She was asking her people to let the enemy land, to watch aliens walk on human soil. But she had a plan, and the plan required patience. They landed 50,000 soldiers in the first hour. They came down in major cities across the world: New York, Beijing, Moscow, Seoul, New Delhi. Their heavy boots touched streets that humans had walked for centuries. They expected to find frightened people begging for mercy. They found empty cities. Every major city had been evacuated months ago. 8 billion humans had moved to smaller towns, to countryside, to underground shelters. They left behind only soldiers and traps. Colonel Shin commanded the defense of Seoul. She was 38 years old, small and thin, with eyes that had seen too much death. Her father had died in the first battle. Her mother had died building bombs for the resistance, had nothing left except hate and duty. Her forces numbered 12,000 soldiers. They sent 40,000 against her city. The aliens marched into Seoul expecting light resistance. They found hell. The first explosion came from beneath the street. A whole squad disappeared into fire and broken concrete. Before the survivors could react, gunfire erupted from every window, every rooftop, every shadow. Soldiers fought from the subway tunnels. They fought from the sewers. They used the city itself as a weapon. Buildings collapsed on alien troops. Streets turned into rivers of fire. The air itself became poison as human chemists released gases they had never breathed before. "They're using tactics we don't understand," a commander reported to General. "They don't fight like soldiers, they fight like animals. They don't retreat, they don't surrender, they just keep killing until we kill them." Similar reports came from every city on Earth. The humans were losing slowly, but they made the pay for every street, every building, every room. General made a decision that would destroy his army. He ordered more troops to land, then more. He had 2 million soldiers, and he sent them all to Earth's surface to crush the human resistance. That was exactly what Admiral wanted. She waited until the last transport landed. She waited until every soldier was on the ground, far from their ships. Then she gave the order she had been waiting 6 months to give. "All ships attack." 312 human warships rose from hiding places across the solar system. They came from behind the moon. They came from inside asteroids. They came from the rings of Saturn, where they had waited in frozen silence. The fleet was caught completely by surprise. Their troops were on the ground. Their commanders were watching the land battles. They never saw death coming from the darkness of space. The Battle of Earth lasted 18 hours. Human ships attacked in waves, hitting hard and fast, then pulling back before they could respond. Admiral commanded from her ice fortress, moving her ships like pieces on a chess board. She had spent months studying alien tactics. She knew their weaknesses. She knew their fears. They tried to recall their troops, but it was too late. Human soldiers on the ground attacked with new fury, keeping the aliens pinned down. Transports that tried to lift off were destroyed before they could reach orbit. Captain Park led the assault on the command ship. His destroyer, named Soul's Memory after his father's sacrifice, broke through the enemy formation and fired everything it had at General's flagship. The alien general died in fire and screaming metal. When the sun rose the next morning, 700 ships were destroyed or captured. Their entire invasion force was dead or surrendered. The survivors fled to hyperspace, carrying a message that would shake the Empire to its core. "We were wrong, they are not beat, they are not weak. They are awake now and they are angry." Admiral walked through the ruins of Seoul 3 days later. Colonel met her there, covered in dust and dried blood. The two women stood among the broken buildings and looked at the alien bodies being collected for burning. "How many did we lose?" asked. "Too many," replied, "but fewer than we expected. Your plan worked, Admiral." Shook her head. "This was just the beginning. They'll come back with more ships, more soldiers. We need to be ready." "What do you suggest?" Admiral looked up at the sky, at the stars that had once seemed so beautiful and peaceful. "We stop waiting for them to attack. We take the war to them." On the other side of the galaxy, Emperor read the reports from Earth. His hands trembled. His advisors watched in silence as he spoke the words that would haunt him for the rest of his life. 300 ships. They had 300 ships hidden. After we destroyed their patrol fleet, they had 300 more. He looked at his generals with fear in his ancient eyes. What if that wasn't all of them? What if they have more? No one answered. No one wanted to think about that possibility. But it was already too late. Humanity was building, humanity was growing, and humanity was coming. Emperor could not sleep. Every night he saw human ships in his dreams. Small ships, fast ships, ships that burned like angry stars. He had ruled the empire for 200 years, and he had never known fear until now. His advisors told him not to worry. The empire had 10,000 warships spread across 1,000 worlds. The humans had only 300. The math was simple. The empire would crush these creatures and move on. But remembered the first reports. 14 human ships had destroyed 47 of his vessels. Then 300 human ships had destroyed 700 more. The math was not simple at all. The math was terrifying. "We must destroy them now," he told his High Council, "before they grow stronger, before they build more ships." High Admiral bowed before the throne. "Majesty, it will take time to gather the Imperial fleet, 6 months, perhaps a year." "Then start now," commanded. "I want every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. We will burn their planet to ash and scatter their bones across space." On Earth, the mood was very different. Admiral stood before the United Nations Council, her uniform still dusty from the battlefield. The leaders of every nation watched her with a mixture of fear and hope. They had won a great victory, but they all knew it was not over. "The aliens will return," said simply. "Maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year. They will bring everything they have. If we wait here, if we only defend, we will lose." "What do you suggest?" asked the Chinese representative. "We attack first. We take the war to their territory. We make them afraid of us." The room exploded with arguments. Some leaders wanted to hide, to build defenses, to hope the aliens would leave them alone. Others wanted revenge for the millions who had died in the invasion. The debate lasted for hours. In the end, they voted yes, Earth would go to war. Doctor was a small woman with thick glasses and messy hair. She had not slept in 3 days. Her laboratory was full of alien technology taken from captured ships, and she was trying to understand how it worked. They used something called hyperspace to travel between stars. Their ships could cross 100 light years in a few hours. Without this technology, humans would need centuries to reach the nearest alien world. Worked with teams from every country. Korean scientists, American engineers, Russian physicists, Indian mathematicians. They argued, they fought, they shared ideas. Slowly, they began to understand. 1 year after the Battle of Earth, Doctor called Admiral to her laboratory. "We did it," she said, her eyes bright with exhaustion and joy. "We figured out how their engines work, and we made them better." Looked at the glowing device on his workbench. "Better. Faster, more efficient. Our ships will be able to travel twice as fast as theirs," smiled a tired smile. "They thought they were advanced. They were wrong." The first expeditionary fleet launched 2 years after the invasion. Admiral commanded 50 ships carrying 20,000 Marines. Their target was an outpost 300 light years from Earth. Was 60 years old, a veteran of wars on Earth before the aliens came. He had a scar across his face and a mind like a steel trap. His soldiers loved him because he never asked them to do anything he would not do himself. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace inside the outpost's defensive zone. It was a trick they had never seen before. Their ships needed to stop far from their target, then approach slowly. Human ships appeared right on top of them, already firing. The battle lasted 40 minutes. The garrison never had a chance. Stood on the surface of an alien world for the first time in human history. The sky was green, the plants were blue, and the air smelled like flowers and metal. Around him, Marines secured the outpost and treated wounded aliens. "Sir," said his aide, "what do we do with the prisoners?" "Treat them well, give them food, water, medical care." Looked at the scared alien faces. "We're not monsters, we're just people who don't like being invaded." The news of the human victory spread across the empire like fire. Emperor received reports of more attacks, another outpost destroyed, then another, then a colony world invaded and occupied. The humans did not burn cities or massacre civilians. They simply took control, replaced governors with human officers, and moved on to the next target. They're not raiders, realized. They're conquerors. They're building an empire of their own. His spies brought worse news. Human factories were working day and night. They were not building 50 ships or 100 ships. They were building thousands. Every month, more human warships entered service. Every month, more human soldiers finished training. "Majesty," High Admiral said carefully, We have gathered the Imperial fleet. 10,000 ships stand ready. But what? Our spies believe the humans already have more ships than we do, and they are still building. Felt his old heart grow cold. How is that possible? They are one planet, we are 1,000 worlds. They are different, Majesty. They do not rest. They do not stop. Every human seems to work as if their life depends on building more weapons, training more soldiers, making more ships. Paused. They are afraid of us, Majesty, and their fear has made them very, very dangerous. The Emperor sat on his throne and made his decision. He could not wait any longer. He could not let the humans grow stronger. He had to attack now with everything he had and hope it was enough. Gather the fleet, he commanded. All 10,000 ships, every soldier we have, we go to war. Across human space, Admiral received intelligence about the gathering forces. She smiled grimly and gave her own orders. They're finally coming to finish what they started. Good. She turned to her officers. Call back all expeditionary forces. Prepare the fleet for battle. We end this war once and for all. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. The two fleets met in the empty space between human and territory. No planets nearby, no moons, no asteroids. Just darkness and stars and death waiting to happen. Emperor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Throne. Around him, 10,000 warships spread across space like a metal ocean. It was the largest fleet ever assembled in the history of his empire. 12,000 years of conquest had led to this moment. Fleet Marshal O watched the enemy approach from her command ship, the Indomitable. She was 45 years old, tall and thin, with short gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. She had been a school teacher before the invasion. Now she commanded the largest human military force ever created. "How many ships do we have?" asked Captain, her tactical officer. 1,200, replied calmly. His face went pale. They have 10,000. Yes, they do, smiled slightly. They also have 12,000 years of fighting weak enemies who surrendered easily. We have 10,000 years of fighting each other. She opened a channel to her fleet. All ships, execute pattern Omega-7. Show them what humanity learned from our history. The Battle of the Hollow Stars began with a trick. Human ships did not charge forward like the expected. Instead, they split into hundreds of small groups and scattered in all directions. The fleet, trained to fight in one massive formation, did not know how to respond. "They're running," shouted a commander. "After them." "No," Emperor said quietly, but no one listened. His captains were too eager for glory. They broke formation and chased the fleeing human ships. That was their first mistake. The human groups were not running. They were leading them into traps. Small groups would flee until their pursuers were alone, far from support. Then other human ships would appear from hiding and attack from all sides. Admiral led one such group. His 30 ships ran from 200 cruisers, leading them deeper and deeper into the darkness. Then he gave the signal. 100 human ships dropped out of hyperspace directly behind them. Another 100 appeared above them. The alien cruisers were surrounded. "Fire everything," ordered. The ships died in minutes. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out again and again. Human captains used tactics their enemies had never seen. They pretended to be damaged, then attacked when they came close. They hid behind the wreckage of destroyed ships, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. They sacrificed small groups to create openings in the enemy formation. The battle lasted 3 days. 3 days of fire and death and screaming metal. Fleet Marshal O did not sleep. She stood at her command board hour after hour, moving her ships like pieces on a game board. She saw patterns they could not see. She predicted their moves before they made them. On the second day, she saw her opportunity. "The Emperor's flagship is exposed," she said. "Captain, signal Colonel, it's time." Colonel had been waiting for this moment. He commanded 5,000 Marines aboard 20 assault ships. Their job was simple: board the enemy flagship and capture Emperor. Was 32 years old, the youngest colonel in human history. He had earned his rank by being the first human soldier to kill in hand-to-hand combat. He had earned his men's loyalty by being the last to retreat and the first to advance. His assault ships punched through the formation, taking heavy damage but never stopping. They crashed into the hull of the Eternal Throne like metal fists. "Go, go, go!" shouted as his Marines poured into the alien ship. The corridors were wide and tall, built for creatures larger than humans. Soldiers waited around every corner, their weapons ready. They were stronger than humans, faster than humans, and they fought with the desperation of those defending their emperor. But humans had something they did not understand. They had spent their entire history fighting things stronger and faster than themselves. They had hunted lions with spears. They had killed elephants with arrows. They had learned that size and strength meant nothing against courage and cleverness. Marines fought through the ship deck by deck. They used grenades to clear corridors. They used knives when their guns ran empty. They used their bare hands when nothing else worked. Private was 18 years old, the youngest Marine in the assault force. She was small, barely tall enough to meet the height requirement. When a soldier grabbed her and lifted her off the ground, she pulled a grenade from her belt and shoved it into the alien's mouth. They found Emperor in his throne room, surrounded by his personal guard. 50 of the Empire's finest warriors stood between the humans and their ruler. "Kill them all," the Emperor commanded. Raised his rifle. "We don't have to do this. Surrender and no one else has to die." The guards attacked. It was over in 3 minutes. Human training, human weapons, human fury. The guards fell one by one until only the Emperor remained, standing alone before his golden throne. Was old, older than any human could imagine. He had conquered worlds and destroyed civilizations. He had never felt fear until this small creature pointed a weapon at his face. "You could kill me," said. "You could destroy my empire, burn my world, slaughter my people. Why don't you?" Lowered his weapon slightly. "Because that's what you would do, we're not you." He gestured to the bodies around them. "We didn't start this war. You did. You came to our planet. You killed our people. We just wanted to be left alone." "Then what do you want?" "Peace, real peace. You surrender and the war ends. Your people live. Your worlds become our allies, not our slaves. We help each other instead of killing each other." Stared at the human colonel. In 12,000 years, no enemy had ever offered mercy. "Why would you trust us?" "We don't, but we'd rather build something new than spend the rest of our existence fighting," smiled grimly. "Besides, we're really good at war. If you break your word, we'll just beat you again." Emperor, ruler of 1,000 worlds, fell to his knees and surrendered. Outside, the fleet received the order to stand down. The battle ended. Human ships moved among the wreckage, rescuing survivors from both sides. Fleet Marshal O finally allowed herself to sit down. Her body ached, her eyes burned, but she was smiling. "How many did we lose?" she asked. 300 ships, Captain reported, 20,000 dead." Closed her eyes, 20,000 lives. It was better than she had feared, but each death was a universe ended. "And them?" 6,000 ships destroyed, 2 million dead, the rest surrendered. The numbers were staggering. Humanity had faced a force 8 times their size and won. They had done it with tactics, with courage, with the lessons of 10,000 years of human warfare. But the victory brought a discovery that changed everything. In the captured databases, intelligence officers found references to something called the Dominion. 7 ancient races that watched over the galaxy, that had guided civilizations for millions of years. They had seen humanity rise. They had seen the fall. And they were afraid. The Dominion Council met on a station older than most stars. 7 ancient beings sat in a circle of light, their bodies strange and terrible, their minds vast as oceans. They had guided the galaxy for 60 million years. They had watched species rise and fall like waves on a beach. They had never been afraid. Until now. The humans conquered the in 4 years, said the being called Prime. It was the oldest of them, its body made of crystal and light. The controlled 1,000 star systems. The humans now control 1,200. Their population has tripled, added another, a creature of tentacles and eyes. They are colonizing worlds we thought were too harsh for life. They breed faster than any species we have ever seen. Their military has grown from 300 ships to 30,000 in 4 years. The chamber fell silent. Finally, Prime asked the question they all feared. The force that conquered was that their full military strength? No one knew the answer, and that was what terrified them. Ambassador Ha was not afraid. She was 34 years old, the daughter of refugees who had fled Seoul during the ground invasion. Her parents had died when she was 12, killed by alien weapons in a city that no longer existed. She had grown up in the underground shelters, learning to read by candlelight, eating food made from recycled waste. Now she stood before the 7 most powerful beings in the galaxy, and she was not afraid. "You asked to meet with us," Prime said. Its voice was like wind through mountains. "We assume you understand why." "You're afraid," replied simply. "You've spent millions of years controlling this galaxy. Now there's a species you cannot control. You want to know if we're a threat." "Are you?" Smiled, found the expression deeply disturbing. Human faces moved in ways that seemed wrong, unpredictable, dangerous. "The force that conquered, was called the First Expeditionary Fleet," she said. "It started with 50 ships. It grew to 1,200 through captured resources and building new ships in conquered territory. That was not our navy. That was one fleet." "How large is your actual navy?" "When they invaded Earth, we had 300 military ships. We now have 30,000. Our factories produce new ships faster than we can train crews to fly them. Our population is growing faster than we can build colony ships to carry them." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. "We are not a threat. We are a species. We grow. It is what we do. And if we tried to stop you, then you would learn what the learned." They shifted uneasily. One of them, a being made of living metal, spoke up. "We could we could erase your species from existence." "You could try." His voice was calm, almost gentle. "They tried. They sent 300 ships and we killed them with 14. They sent 1,000 ships and we killed them with 300. They sent 10,000 ships and we killed them with 1,200. She looked directly at the metal. "How many ships do you have? Because whatever the number is, I promise you it won't be enough." Silence filled the ancient chamber. Prime studied the small human woman. In 60 million years, it had seen countless species stand before this council. Some begged for mercy. Some threatened war. None had ever spoken with such quiet confidence. "What do you propose?" it asked finally. Relax slightly. This was what she had been waiting for. "An alliance. A real one, not you controlling us, not us conquering you. A partnership." She began to walk slowly around the chamber, looking at each in turn. "You have knowledge. 60 million years of science, art, philosophy. We want to learn, we want to grow, we want to be better than we are. And what do you offer in return?" "Everything that makes us human. Our creativity, our adaptability, she searched for the right word, our stubbornness. When we decide to do something, we do it. When we face a problem, we solve it. When something tries to kill us, we kill it first." She stopped in the center of the chamber and faced them all. "The galaxy is changing, you felt it. New threats are coming from beyond your borders. Things you don't understand, things your old ways can't handle. You need new ideas. You need fresh eyes. You need us. And if we refuse?" A voice crackled from his communication device. It was Fleet Marshal O, speaking from somewhere far away. Ambassador, the fleet is in position, awaiting your signal. Did not break eye contact with Prime. Then you should know that the 30,000 ships I mentioned, those are just the ones we've finished building. We have plans for 90,000 more. We have shipyards under construction that will triple our production. We have a population that just discovered it really likes not being attacked by aliens. She straightened her shoulders, standing tall before beings older than Earth itself. We're humanity. 4 years ago, we were alone, one small planet in a galaxy that didn't know we existed. Now we're here standing before you talking as equals. Imagine where we'll be in 40 years, in 400, in 4,000. She let the silence stretch. Work with us and we build something beautiful together. Stand against us and we build it anyway over your ashes. Her voice softened. But I'd rather not. I'd rather be friends. I'm tired of war. My people are tired of war. We want to explore, to learn, to meet new species and hear their stories. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Prime was quiet for a long moment. Finally it spoke. In 60 million years, no species has ever stood before us and spoken as you have. You are either very brave or very foolish. Why not both? Smiled again. Humans are complicated. Something strange happened then. Prime made a sound that might have been laughter. Very well, Ambassador Ha, we will try your alliance. We will share our knowledge and accept your partnership. But understand this, we will be watching. If your species proves to be a threat to galactic peace, then you'll learn what happens when you try to hurt us. I know, bowed slightly, but I don't think it will come to that. I think this is the beginning of something wonderful. She was right. 50 years later, Admiral Ha stood on the observation deck of the largest ship ever built. The Humanity's Promise was 10 kilometers long, carrying 500,000 crew members from a dozen different species. Around it flew the United Galactic Fleet, human ships from the ancient Dominion races, all working together. Admiral Ha was the great-niece of Ambassador, who had died peacefully at the age of 92, surrounded by children and from 3 different species. The old woman's last words had been, "I told them we would build something beautiful." Now something new was coming from beyond the galaxy's edge, something vast and dark and hungry. The first ships had been spotted 3 months ago. No one knew what they were or what they wanted, but they were coming. Admiral Ha watched the stars and felt no fear. Humanity had faced extinction once before. They had been small and weak and alone. They had survived. They had grown. They had turned enemies into friends and built an alliance that spanned the galaxy. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. And if the newcomers had the same question the once asked, the same question the Dominion once feared, Admiral Ha had an answer ready. "No," she whispered to the stars, "that wasn't our full army, and it never will be." Behind her, the fleet began to move toward the edge of known space. Millions of soldiers from dozens of species, united under a single purpose. Humanity had started as one planet. Now they were everywhere, growing and learning and building and loving and fighting when they had to. They were still just getting started.